do get to know that one of the attendees is a true nerd because they were here, 10 minutes after the top of the hour,
Right, right.
which was 20 minutes early. So I'm going to point that person out.
No, no. All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Civil Chat, finally. Um, for those of you that didn't catch on, I accidentally started the webinar half an hour early and texted Brian Mackey there. I was like, are you going to join? And he jumped off a meeting and joined us, and we're sitting there and we're like, there's something going on here. Yeah, we were just half an hour early. So that's why you got to see our shiny faces while you're joining and listen to us talk. But yeah, so welcome. If this is your first time to Civil Chat, welcome. I love having you all here. It's usually a little more professional, which isn't saying a lot.
Little, very little.
Yeah,
I'm about to say,
just
wait a minute.
But yeah, if this is your first time here, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. The way Civil Chat works is you ask questions and we do our best to answer them. There's nothing off limits unless we decide it's off limits at the time you ask the question. So feel free to ask anything, but the questions that we will answer most are about the software that we use. That might be Civil 3D, InfraWorks, Recap, ACC, all that fun stuff. So make sure you ask the questions. Use the Q&A to ask the questions, because it's a lot easier for us to manage our questions that way. Use the chat to make fun of me for starting the webinar half an hour early. And I should never live this one down, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm sharing the screen. It's a picture of Brian and me at Autodesk University this last, what was that, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And so yeah, it was a good time. Got to meet lots of great friends. Got to meet some old friends. Got to make some new friends. I met several folks from Civil Chat there, so that was really exciting. Love meeting folks. I met somebody at the Bluebeam conference as well. So I don't know if it doesn't look like he has joined us. Not that I can see. But yeah, I was at the Bluebeam conference last week as well. So if you have any questions on Bluebeam, you can ask those as well. I did pass my Bluebeam certified professional exam first try. I missed one, which I was really bummed about. But so yeah. So I always like to start off by just kind of showing off something. We will probably talk about Autodesk University here in a bit, but the thing I want to talk about is managing your files. We've run into this again here at our company, where people are complaining that the computers that they have in the VPN are too slow and they can't work, and right. And what it ends up being a lot of times is people don't manage their drawings the way they should be managed. I am a huge proponent of the only thing you put into a drawing is what you need for that drawing, right? So back in the day, I was working with somebody, and this was back when Civil 3D was still fairly new, but we still run into the same issues. They were saying it was taking them over a day to plot 80 sheets or something like that, like literally more than 24 hours to plot 80 sheets. And I'm like, yeah, it should not be that way. So I went in and I took a look at their drawings, and the way they had their drawings set up was the way you would do it if they weren't using Civil 3D. So back in like the Land Desktop days, they had, the base drawing from the surveyor, and in that drawing they had all the line work from the survey plus the surface for the existing conditions. And then they had another drawing that might be the roadway design, right? For the alignments for the streets, right? And in this drawing, they needed to see the line work from the survey, so they XREF that drawing in, and then they also needed to use the surface, so they data referenced it into that drawing, right? And so in that drawing, you have the surface being data referenced in, but then you also have the surface being XREF'd in. And in that drawing, they did all of their layout of their roads and created all of their profile views and everything. Okay, great. But they also needed to do a design for their sanitary sewer. Now, to do the sanitary sewer, you need to see the existing line work. So they extract in the survey drawing. Well, they need to use the survey surface. So they data referenced in the survey surface, but they also needed to see the roadway layout. So they also XREF'd in the roadway design. And so now in this storm sewer or sanitary sewer drawing, they had the surface in there once as a data reference, once as an XREF, and once as an XREF of a data reference. And they had all of the profiles for all of the streets. And then they went in and did their design for the sanitary sewer, and they created all their profile views for all of their storm pipes. Repeat the process for the sanitary. Right? You XREF in the survey drawing, you data reference in the surface, you XREF in the roadway design. Well, you need to see the storm sewer or the sanitary sewer as you're laying out the storm sewer. So they also XREF'd in the sanitary sewer drawing. And so they had the same surface in drawings multiple times. And then when it came time to create the sheets, they created the sheet and they XREF'd in the existing line work. They XREF'd in the storm sewer drawing. They XREF'd in the storm pipe, the sanitary. They XREF'd in the roads. And so they had the surfaces in these drawings multiple times. And they had everything for the project, every profile view in each drawing in the sheets. And then they created multiple viewports for the sheet. And they went way overboard. They had a viewport for their plan view and they had a viewport for their profile view. But because they didn't create a profile view for that viewport, the stationing and the elevations were off the screen. So they created viewports to bring the elevations in along the sides and a viewport for the stationing along the bottom. They had a viewport for their notes. They had a viewport for their, and I don't know why they did this one, their north arrow.
Sorry.
They had I know, right? They had 9 viewports on each sheet. And so when you're dealing with Civil 3D objects, those Civil 3D objects have to be regenerated in each viewport.
Even
and you may think to yourself, just freeze them. That stops them from regenerating, right? No, not Civil 3D objects.
Nope.
Right? Because of the dynamic natures of Civil 3D objects, even if a surface is on a layer that's frozen at regen time, it has to go through and regenerate it. Right? And so that's what the problem was. And it had so much stuff in this drawing, it was just taking forever to do anything. So I went into their drawings and I suggested this is how I suggest people do things. Right? So let me switch over to here. So I'm using this basically as the whiteboard. So I like to think of 3 different tiers of drawings. This is kind of the way that works well for me. So your first sort of tier of drawing will be your AutoCAD / XREFs, right? So this is the drawing that's going to have your AutoCAD line work, things that are going to be XREF'd into other drawings. This doesn't necessarily have to be just AutoCAD, but it might also be points because there's no way to create a data reference of points unless you're using Vault. And I don't know anybody that uses Vault, right? So this stuff should not have any objects in it that are going to be data referenced anywhere. So no surfaces, no pipe networks, no alignments, profiles, none of that. This is strictly AutoCAD non-data referenceable stuff, right? And so I like to refer to these as either the AutoCAD drawing or the XREF drawing. The next level of drawing that we have is our model drawing. So I like to call this the model, right? And in this drawing, you're going to have all of your Civil 3D stuff. You're going to have your surfaces, you have your alignments, your profiles, all that fun stuff. And so when it's time to create the model drawing, you're going to take the AutoCAD XREF drawings and XREF them into the model drawing, right? And in here, you'll create your surface. So that surveyor's drawing that had the line work and the surface in it, those should have been 2 different drawings. It should have been the AutoCAD XREF drawing for the line work, and then the model drawing for the surface that has that line work XREF'd into it. Right? And then finally, we have our sheets drawings. And these are the drawings that you're going to be publishing. And the sheets get data from the AutoCAD XREF into them, and data from the model drawings, data referenced into them. Right? Data from the sheets drawing should never be XREF or data referenced into any other drawing. This is the final product. This is where it ends. Right? All of this stuff is being used to create the sheet. And as you're creating these drawings, you need to make sure that you've got the mindset that when it comes to the sheets, I want to be able to create a sheet that only has the stuff in it that that sheet needs. I don't want any extra surfaces in the sheets drawing because it's just going to slow things down. Right? So the AutoCAD XREF drawings get XREF'd into the model drawings and also XREF'd into the sheets drawing. The model drawings get data referenced into other model drawings and then data referenced into the sheets drawing.
Ugh.
Now, this isn't always the case. On occasion, I will XREF a model drawing into a sheets drawing. So for example, the surveyor surface. The surveyor surface has labels in it. It has the contour labels in it. If I data reference that surface into a sheet drawing, in that sheet drawing, I have to go through and label that surface. And so you can, if you just need to see the surface in the sheets drawing, it's okay to XREF it in because then you'll see the labels as well. Right? So this is the kind of the way I like to do this. Looks like there's some comments. So base Civil 3D model sheets. Yeah, Robert, that's exactly right. So Daniel asked in the chat, model drawings that when you're doing the XREFs, do you do them as an attachment or an overlay? So I do almost everything as overlay for my XREFs. The only time I will ever do an attachment, so if I'm XREFing drawing A into drawing B, if drawing B is incomplete without drawing A, and every time I take drawing B and I XREF it into another drawing, I also have to XREF in drawing A, then I will attach it to drawing B. But that's very, very rare.
Oh, and or if you are geolocating maybe a Revit model that isn't located on the site and you need to pinpoint it on your site plan, you can XREF it as an attachment so it holds there.
Okay.
That's that would be another example.
Yeah, that's a good call as well. So I redid all of those drawings that took like a day to plot the 80 sheets, reorganized them in this using this, and it drastically increased performance.
Yeah, and
right.
Brian, I'm going to say that we have incorporated that. We actually incorporated this back in 2009, and because of the double XREFs and something or the XREF and data reference and the duplications of the data referencing, we also found out that be aware of this too, because when you do a data, so if you've got all of your stuff in one model, and you have multiple data shortcuts going to that model, when AutoCAD or Civil 3D launches and it's going to validate and synchronize those data shortcuts, it does them one at a time. So if you have 3 surfaces, 5 alignments, and 4 pipe networks that you are data shortcutting into a drawing or into a model, every time you open that model, it's going to go back to that. It's going to go and look at each one independently. So it finds the first one, it opens it and it validates and it closes. It goes to the next one, opens and validates and closes. If you have it all in one model, it's going to open that same model how many ever times you have that data shortcut. In many cases, 7 or 8 times. And as we know, the more Civil 3D entities you get, the larger the file size. So if it's a 50 meg file, you're opening 50 megs 7 times. Well, multiply 7 times 50, that's 350 some odd megs that you're transferring across maybe a wide area network. So be aware of that as well. Try to
great point.
Not have everything in one file because that will also. But yeah, drastically, I've got a number for you. It was taking us 25 minutes to open a drawing. When we did exactly, we took the file from the sub, corrected them. They were opening in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
So it is a huge time saving. Massively. Now, Brian, I am a little bit different than you. We do not data shortcut anything into the sheets because you can label everything in Civil 3D through an XREF. So we will XREF our alignments. We will create separate profile views and XREF that in just into the sheet. But just like what Brian was saying, because we don't want to XREF in a drawing that has a surface in it and another one that's got a surface, because then you got it duplicated. And then the problem is if you label through the XREF, you don't know which one you're really labeling to, do you?
Right.
You're just selecting it. And if you could accidentally be labeling to the wrong one.
So do you create one drawing that you then XREF into the sheet, and so each sheet has its own XREF drawing?
So I'm losing you on that one. Say that again.
So you said you XREF the alignments and profile views and everything into the sheets.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a better example. Okay. So let's say I've got a project. It's a pipeline project that comes into a wastewater facility. So the wastewater facility is set up by a site plan that we have, and we've got grading that's going on in that. But then we've also got the existing pipeline that's going off the site that we're not doing any grading, that's just got the regular surface. So when we're doing the pipeline, we will have we now change that from a model to an AutoCAD XREF, because we know we're going to be XREFencing it in. We will create a model file that contains the alignment and the data shortcuts of the existing pipes that come into it, and a data shortcut of the existing surface to use to cut the profiles. We will create all of our profile views based on our stationing and whatnot that we want, and then we will XREF that drawing into our sheet file and label it. Because then you don't need a surface file. You don't need anything, because it's all contained within that one model that we did the major of the modeling in, but there's nothing being data shortcutted in.
So why not just do that directly into the sheet?
That's exactly what I just said. We XREF it into that sheet file.
Right. But I'm saying, why data reference it into a drawing and then XREF it into the sheet? Why not just data reference it directly into the sheet?
We find that I don't know why it takes longer, but it takes longer whenever it's having to look at the data shortcuts. If I open the sheet and the data shortcuts are there, it has to validate all of the data shortcuts before it even opens the drawing. If it just looks at an XREF, it doesn't validate jack diddly squat. It just opens the XREF and it's stupid fast.
Okay, that makes sense. So in essence, when I open up the sheet, if we do it the way I recommended, when I open up the sheet, if I have 20 data references in that drawing, it has to validate each of those 20 data references. Whereas if it's XREF, then it just says, oh, there's an XREF, let me bring it in, and however that XREF was the last time. But if I were to open up that XREF, then it would have to validate them.
That's correct. Yes. And so now the downside to that is sometimes an XREF, because you're XREFing it in, and I've seen this happen, and I think Autodesk is going this direction, but it will actually, I don't have to open the XREF for the changes of my surface to be shown through that XREF.
What?
Yeah. I'm not even joking, and that's where they're headed. So, but for right now, like so we will commonly employ the practice of, we have a existing contour drawing, and all that is a drawing with a data shortcut of our surface, of our proposed surface, our existing surface, and we will use that as an XREF. So we separate the survey so that way the surface doesn't follow it. We can bring it in only when we need it, because in a utility plan, I don't need to see the contours. So why even have that part of it? Like you were saying, only what you need. So we've separated that out. Now, if I make a change to that surface and I open up a sheet file that's X-referencing in those contours, there are times when those contours have changed on me and I haven't even opened up the contour drawing to update the data reference.
Interesting.
So AutoCAD's doing stuff in the background that's actually updating the data based on the data reference when you open the XREF, which is kind of cool, a little scary, but
right.
a little scary, but cool.
Cool. All right. So, but the big takeaway from this, and whether you're going the right route that Brian suggested, or you're going out the route that I suggested, the biggest point takeaway from this is only put into a sheet what you need to create that sheet.
Yep. Yes.
That's the biggest time sink there is having unnecessary stuff in a sheet. Now, if you're doing like the grading around the entrance to a townhome,
yeah,
who cares?
Exactly.
Right. But if you're we do dams. We have massive surfaces.
Yeah.
You need to manage that data. So
Yeah.
I was
Oh.
trying to keep up on the chat. Did you see anything come up in the chat that we need to address there, Mackie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, with the XRF way, do you have issues with pipe networks being out of date if you forget to open the drawing with all the data shortcuts in it?
Yes. That is the one that is the one caveat. Now, here's the weird thing. In 2019 and 2021, yes, we saw that, but ever since 2023 up into 2025, it's been updating automatically. That's the scary part that I'm talking about. So you still, but here was the thing, to the individual that asked that. We are in those models so often before we even go to print that they're just being updated as we're doing our work from day to day. So it's only whenever you've got a last minute change and you're getting the thing out that you need to go back and reopen that drawing that has it XREF, that has it data referenced as
Right.
the X. Yeah. Absolutely. But we've been utilizing this for close a little bit more than a decade. And new units that come in that use this, seriously, Brian is 100% on with this. You save so much time. It is incalculable, honestly. 8 hours a day to print for 80 sheets, and now you turn it into a half an hour.
Yeah.
And times how many ever submittals you've got, you really can't calculate how much you're saving. It's ridiculous.
And then Matt actually put in the Q&A pod, how does this scale? Do you have multiple model files? So more than one person can design, edit. Are labels for Civil 3D objects then done in the sheet or any other survey surface, as you mentioned?
Yes. So
it is 100% scalable. 100, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that's the best part about it.
Yeah, so when Civil 3D first came out, Autodesk was like one object, one drawing.
Yeah.
Right. So you have an alignment, it should be in a drawing all by itself, and then that would be referenced. No, I don't know anybody that does that.
Yeah.
I break them up into workflows.
Yep.
Right. So I'll, if you're doing a roadway design, all of your alignments and profiles for that roadway design will be in that drawing. If you're doing the parcel layout, all the parcel stuff will be in that. Parcels can't be data referenced.
But you know what? We do
Pipes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will even chunk it up. So like you say, okay, one alignment in a drawing, fine. But what if your alignment's 7 miles long? That's a bit of a problem. So then what you do is you take a look at your project. Okay, well, it's a 7 mile pipeline, but there's 4 pump stations. Well, do your alignment from one pump station to the next, then do another alignment from pump station to the next. So that way you can break it up. You find these nice little spots where you can break your project. And that also helps because then when you're X-referencing the end of the alignment, you're not having to bring in the front of the alignment at the same time. So you're bringing in only smaller bits of data.
And it's a balance between, having multiple people being able to make edits to the models at the same time. So they need to be in separate drawings versus I now need to open up 12 drawings to make these little edits.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a balance there that you have to figure out. And it's going to vary on each project.
And then Brian, you also said something else. What we found with Civil 3D memory allocation, the amount of RAM that you have, the video card that you have, there's this little thing in your options and whatnot to be able to regen or cache the last viewport or cache all viewports. If you have a lot of layouts, what we found through our bit of research is we limit ourselves to 7 layouts per plan and profile. Yeah, right there. Those can be a big time memory thing. So what we did is we found out that if you have 14 viewports, I don't care how many layouts, but the moment you get past 14 viewports, maybe 15 to 16, your computer starts lagging. So what we've kind of put into place is no more than 14 viewports or 7 layouts, or how many of our layouts equates to 14 to 20 viewports. And also, if you've got multiple viewports of different scales in the same drawing, that will also bog your system down because it's having to regenerate 2 different views, 2 different annotation scales at the same time. So that may also help you break your sheets out in a more logistic fashion.
Right. Good call.
Sorry, this is definitely hot and heavy for me because workflow for a large company, you save one person 5 minutes, you save the company millions because every person in there 5 minutes, that adds up fast.
Does this method work with view frames?
Yes, it does. But there is a little bit of caveat to it. So with view, okay, how much time do we got? uh,
30 minutes less than Brian thought.
yeah. Oh yeah, Brian. So view frames, the way we do view frames is we do all the views in one drawing, and then we take the views and copy them to the sheets that we had to recorrect. So we will use view frames to set up our first round for our plan profiles, or even your plan views, or however you want to set up your view frames. And then you can keep the alignment with the view frames as its own drawing. So, so you data reference in the alignment, create a view frame drawing. It'll create the view frames for you. It'll create the layouts for you. And then you take those layouts and copy the viewports to the sheets that have been modified, and you're done. So not only, you don't have to recut all your sheets again, you just recut the viewports and then copy the viewports to the sheets that it applied to.
Awesome. All right. So that was a good
Oh, no,
25 minutes
there's
starting.
still follow-up, so I'm not done.
Oh, is there? Okay.
So you will have one drawing for water main, one for storm drain, and one drawing for sewer main separately, correct? But you will need the existing topo and finished grading surfaces as a shortcut to generate profile for each utility.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends. Are you showing all the utilities in one plan and profile, or are you going to be doing them individually? We typically like to put our alignment over the top of our particular pipe to show that plan and profile, but we've also had it where we have all the utilities in one. And depending also on the size, if you're just doing a small site, put all the utilities in one drawing. That would be fine. I mean, you're talking a few acres or whatnot, or maybe a small phase one subdivision that's 35 acres infrastructure. You'll need to start pulling it out when it starts causing a bog.
Right. But yeah, to address that, yes, you can put your sanitary, your storm, and your water all in different drawings, data reference back and forth between each other, because you're never going to plot the model drawings. Yeah. Right. So in my sanitary sewer drawing, I have the existing condition line work XREF'd in. I have the proposed layout XREF'd in. I have the existing surface data referenced in. I have the other pipe networks data referenced in, and I'm doing my modeling in the model drawing. And then that then goes into a sheet drawing, whether you data reference it into a drawing and XREF it into the sheet, or data reference it directly into the sheet.
Yep.
So yeah, it works great there as well.
Yep. Both are great methods.
Yeah. George says learned this the hard way too. It's like, yeah, a lot of people learned this the hard way. A lot of people are still learning it the hard way.
Yeah, that's how we got it.
It doesn't make sense that this would be an issue.
Yeah.
To somebody that's new to Civil 3D, it's like, I'm just bringing it in. Why is it so slow? Because you're bringing it in 30 times.
And Tom says he does a similar workflow, although he it moved on me. I hate it when that happens. Except for he does the surface as a DREF in a separate drawing.
Yep.
And that's in the chat for everyone to see. And then Daniel brought up the fact that in Civil 3D 26, it introduced the AEC viewport opt variable to help with viewport regenerations of Civil 3D objects outside of the view.
Okay.
So AECC viewport OPT.
So I had 25 open earlier. Let me open up 26 here real quick. Let's take a look at that.
And then Tom also pointed out, make sure you don't have excessive amount of outside data.
Yeah,
water shields.
Yeah, Autodesk is always trying to help us. I mean, they came out with a level of detail for your surface bit back in 2018. They know that that's a struggle.
Right.
So, until they come up with better solutions, we've definitely got methods to do this to help out. And yeah, by breaking it up, it may be a little bit, but honestly, even if you're not part of a huge corporation and you're like a 10-person operation, it allows for more people, more hands-on instead of everything in like one model. So it gives you more.
All right. So it's new in 2026, but it's not in the help system.
Yeah, there's a couple of new system variables in 2026 that were great.
The other Danny said that actually was in 2023.
Okay, so when it's drawn, I might have just put a single C in there when I typed
Yeah.
right in the search part. Uh, okay, good. So this should help with some of that plotting time. So that's good to hear. So if you make sure you got this set to on, this AECC viewport opt, make sure that's on in your drawings.
So do you hate this when you see a new tip like this that you now got to go back add to your profile for all your users to get updated to make sure it's off in all the views, all the drawings?
You just put it a part of the ACAD doc.lsp and then it goes out to everybody. Done.
I understand. I always say just like, God dang it, yet another thing I've got to add to that.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I don't know if this is stored in the drawing or if it's stored for your system. It doesn't tell us here. Most of the system variables it does tell us, but this one doesn't. AECC viewport opt. So it's on for me.
I mean, I would expect it to be on like they did with the SheSet Manager Detect mode. They turn that automatically on, although you had to have AutoCAD for Web to activate it. So that was kind of weird.
And Danny says as long as it's on, he sometimes has a problem with labeling of parcels, so therefore he turns his off.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, hadn't noticed that before. Yeah, ours is set. It might be out of the box is on because yeah, I've never messed with that variable.
All right. Shall we get to some questions?
We technically only have one real question other than the other two on AU because everybody was so enthralled with what you were talking about. But I do want to point out before we jump into questions that right after Civil Chat last month, they came out with drainage tools for Civil 3D later that afternoon. So since last Civil Chat, we have new drainage tools for anybody using that. And 23, 24, and 25 all had service pack updates. So if you haven't been looking in the last month, as well as a whole bunch of Autodesk licensing crap.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't actually been looking in the last month, always do, check in there, yell at your IT that, hey, some of the stuff has actually been updated.
Yeah, I got to go yell at my IT. So
yeah. And then for those of you who also don't know that and this, Thomas, I don't know if you've seen this, but Desktop Connector came out with a 17.0 on October 1st.
Yeah, I'm scared. It's supposed to be a new revamp of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I personally installed it just fine, but I know one of my clients, they're having issues. So they're having to go through and uninstall 16, go into one of the folder paths and delete all the stuff in the folder path before they can install 17. So not saying it's going to be an easy one. For me, I clicked it, updated, it was fine.
Okay, so this goes back to the whole management of your files and knowing what computers can do and that they can't. I always unselect all my projects before I do an update. So that way it removes everything from ACC, which is now going to be renamed as FIC. Thank you very much, Autodesk. But it removes all the projects from my ACC that's on my computer. Then I'll do the update and then I'll re-add them, and then I very rarely have a problem.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But then I have to resync all the projects, and that's
Yeah, my problem is I hit the 80 project limit the other day, so I had to go through and start parsing out, which project am I not in all the time?
Now that's a great question, because how many are you working on all 80 projects on that day?
Not on a day, but I since I'm a consultant for clients, I have 13 different clients, and most of my clients I'm in their projects, throughout a month off and on doing support. True. So for me, it's really easy to hit the 80. But yeah, I went to go do it. I'm like, man, 17 broke. It's like screwing me up here. I'm like, oh crap, I exceeded the 80 projects. So yeah, just wanted to point out that is there. So if those of you are actually using the Autodesk Construction Cloud with Civil 3D, making sure that you're updating everybody to 17 at the same point in time. Don't just have one or two users go. Because I know in the Revit world, that can cause corruptions in Revit files if people are not the same versions.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, 16.7 is supposed to be kind of like going from 15.9 to 16. You don't want to intermix. And right now, a lot of things are version specific. Well, not version specific, but works well with other versions. Like I find 16.8 through 16.13 really works great with 2023. But anything above that, you'll want to go to 2024 and 2025 for the others, because it seems to work just a little bit better with it. So, and here's the nice thing: no DWG format change, so why not? Just get it to 2026. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
With the new AI, you'll be able to say, "Hey, can you, go get my coffee?" Anyways, but
Hey,
yeah,
Autodesk Assistant, can you update my CAD to 2026?
yeah. Hey, can you get me fired?
That's an interesting one too, Tom. Thanks for that one. Tom posted in there how you can actually free up space. And then I don't know, for those of you out there who are actually using ACC, and again, I'm buying time since we only have one more question here. Although we are 6 minutes over our allotted hour. But one thing I did want to point out
you
is that I don't
two
remember
are
now
6 minutes over, all right?
but did you guys know that there's actually an ACC long path log? So if you actually go on your Autodesk Desktop Connector logs, they actually have a startup long path log, and it'll start telling you files that are too long. I don't know if this affects Civil 3D, but I definitely know this has been affecting my ACC in general, that you can have too long file paths. You go to like view the files online, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. So I will post the folder path to this in the chat.
Yeah, thanks to Windows and its 256 character limit, we bump into that a bit. This is why we also change our workspace path to a known location on the hard drive, and everybody has the exact same folder structure, so that way it doesn't assume the person's first dot last name or whatever they logged in as, because some of us have really long names, and that can actually, so maybe Brian Haley's access to a particular file isn't considered long path, but mine may be, because my name's a little bit longer. Autodesk now in 16.16 they have enabled IT to be able to come in and set a predetermined path for everybody instead of being on people's desktops or in their documents. So that was an advantage. Something else to look for is your documents, if you've got OneDrive, is also linked to OneDrive. So if your ACC is looking to your documents and settings under your name, it's actually taking the stuff from ACC and putting it on your OneDrive as a backup. So be careful about that, please.
Ooh, yeah.
So you're double syncing that, and that can also cause issues if you've got low bandwidth.
Yeah.
And yes, Tom, I like first dot last name too.
All right. So then the only question we have here is from Nathan. And Nathan says, what is the best way to deploy tool palettes over a network location? Copy from C drive to the network, path straight to the network drive, read-only location for users, or other? Currently having issues with my ACTP catalog.atc file not updating correctly.
So I can share with you the way we do it here at GEI. Is it the best way? I don't know, but it works for us. But the thing with us is we have all of our support files local, not just the tool palettes. We have everything local. So we have a way that when people launch CAD, it will synchronize their local support files with what's up on the network. So every time they launch CAD, it makes sure that my local files match the network.
Yep.
And if I change something on my support files locally, it will override it so it matches the network. And so it's always in sync. And so the way we have it set up, I'm going to show you this here. Bring this over here. So we have a CAD support folder. And in this CAD support folder, I have a common folder. And under here, we have our tool palettes. And then I was having issues because of the tool palette groups. If you decide you want to add another tool palette to a tool palette group, well, that tool palette group is stored in the user's profile. And to get that to update, I'd have to reset their profiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And so the approach I took is I created a folder for each of these groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So if I have the GEI structural folder and it has the palettes for that, again, air quotes, group. It's not a group, it's just a palette. All right. And so if I open up my palettes, so I'll just TP to open up my, do I already have them over here? I have them over here already. Let me go ahead and pull these over. All right. And so I don't have any tool palette groups here, right? So if I right click on here, there's no tool palette groups or however, I don't remember how to get to the tool palette groups because we don't use them, right? So when I decide, hey, I need to switch to another set of tool palettes. So we use tool palettes a lot. So if I were to come up here to say that the GEI design symbols, SiteWork symbols, you can see we now have these tools available to us. And if I say, hey, I'm going to go to the Explorations Lineworks, we now have those palettes available. And the way we do this is if I go into my CUI, actually, let me just, I'm not going to show you that routine, but if I go into my options,
Yeah.
under files, tool palettes,
Yeah.
there, right? You can see it's set to this custom user tool palettes and then GEI explorations and GEI exploration stick logs. So these are the paths where my tool palettes are. And you can think of this as a group. If I switch to a different one, so if I go, for example, to groundwater, I now have my groundwater tools here. And if I go into my options, files, tool palettes, you can see it's now looking at the geotechnical path. So my ribbon, rather than changing to a different tool palette group, changes the search paths for my palettes to those new locations. And this way, if I need to add a new palette to a air quotes group, all I have to do is add it to that palette, to that tool palette, and it just shows up for everybody.
Yeah.
Because we're not using groups, we're just switching the locations. So that's the way we do it. But the key to being able to do this is you have to have some way to synchronize your local support files with the network files. But I suppose you could also do this if it was up on the network. I just wouldn't want to. So hopefully that answers the question, Nathan. If you had anything more specific, feel free to put it either in the chat or in the Q&A.
And Adam said he uses that same method, but they're keeping a lot of the stuff on ACC with the exception of tool palettes.
Right.
And we almost do the exact same thing, except we use a SharePoint site to replicate so that way, people are synchronized to our company's SharePoint site. So as soon as they launch and log in, it looks at the SharePoint site and it synchronizes.
Yeah.
And Nathan followed up with, does everyone have right access to those palettes?
No. Oh, absolutely not. It is locked down.
For us, it doesn't matter because the next time they launch CAD, it's going to change it back to the way we want it to be.
Yep.
They don't have right access to the network location, but they have right access to their local location.
Right. Yeah.
But the way we sync things, so if we come under here to this location, we just have batch files. Right, so if I go into this sync one, and go ahead and edit this with Notepad++, that'll work. I don't know, I've been having issues with my Notepad++ recently. What it's doing in essence is it's just doing a robocopy.
Yep.
Right, so you can see the robocopy calls are here. And so when you launch CAD, it checks to see what version you use and make sure it gets the right files. And it just robocopies from the network to the local user's computer, and then it launches CAD.
Yep.
So
hope you guys got a screen capture.
And Corey asked the question, he's having issues keep getting his tool palettes to the tabs in the tool palettes to stick to a specific order. Any recommendations on how to keep it from doing that?
Actually, what Brian just mentioned about making them in their own palette itself gives the control to the CAD manager, and then he sets the control, or they set the control.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I think that's what Corey's saying is he has it set up, but it keeps like moving around for people.
Interesting. I hadn't experienced that.
I haven't either.
Congratulations, Corey, you win.
Yeah.
But Daniel asked in the chat, does the syncing slow down the launch of Civil 3D? Yes, a little bit. Just a little bit. So the way the robocopy works is it will compare where you're copying from to where you're copying to.
Yeah.
And if they're the same, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
The only time it does anything is if there's a difference, and it'll sync them up.
Yeah.
So.
Where our SharePoint method, does it upon launch of your system. So as soon as you log into Windows, it will update automatically and it will not delay Civil 3D's opening because it's not doing it upon launch of Civil 3D. It's doing it upon launch of Windows. So it will cause your Windows or maybe your programs to act a little slower for the first couple of seconds if there's a lot of syncing. But if there's no syncing, then there's no issue, right, Brian?
Right.
Yeah, but then you can blame that on Microsoft and not Autodesk because people
Oh,
are
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm down with that.
And Corey actually followed up to that question saying, or sorry, Adam followed up to Corey's question, is saying that if you manually move the order around, it doesn't update the ATC file. You have to edit the ATC file manually.
Oh, they did it within the code. Gotcha.
So, hey, real quick, when we're talking about let me turn off the auto hide here. So are we talking about the order of the tabs? Or are we talking about the order of the tools on a tab?
He said tabs.
Because one thing I have found is if you just kind of drag and drop within the tools, sometimes it doesn't go. So if I wanted, say, for example, wanted monitoring well to be at the top, what I would do is I would just cut it and then paste it in. And then I would just start at the top and cut and paste and cut and paste and cut and paste until that's up at the top. And that seems to make them stick. But if you like, drag them around, then sometimes that doesn't seem to work for us.
Well, I think
I don't know if it's me as the CAD manager setting it up and then but if you cut and paste within the tool palette, it kind of forces that order.
Well, it's kind of like anybody tried to do a wipeout using the wipeout tool and putting something above or below it in a block. Sometimes you actually have to delete the item and then redraw it for it to become
same concept. Yeah,
similar to that. But I also think he's talking about just the tabs on the side there, Brian. So if you wanted to move that tab up to the very top, that's the tab that you're on, you wanted it to be at the very top. I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah, that's what he said was the tabs.
Okay. So if you go into the customized palettes, it should be in here, right? You can just drag them and move them around here. That should keep them if you do it this way.
But is that unique for the user? So if you change it, does that change for everybody? That would be, that's a good question because I don't know it.
Adam said a lot of the edits by drag are stored in your local profile, not the actual source palette file. So that's why your cut paste would work because it's not a drag.
Right. So
cool.
So hopefully that helped. And if you notice, I had no problem just kind of showing you all, just dragging this stuff around, because the next time I launch CAD, it's going to go back to the way it's defined on the network. So the way we have it set up is, I really like it.
And Corey put in the comment, a couple of the ATC files controlled that might be missing could cause this issue as well. They're stored under your app data, Civil 3D support tool palettes, the ACTP catalog, as well as the AECC-TP catalog. So if those are missing, it can also cause issues.
So, all right.
Cool. So kind of on the same path, Robert asked a question. A user asked if the properties command could always be at the bottom of the right-click menu. Is that possible?
Probably.
I also was on a client's machine the other day and I went to go right-click and do quick select, and their quick select wasn't on their right-click menu. That's an AutoCAD thing I've never not seen.
Yeah, I think they got rid of there was a couple of commands they got rid of 2026, which is somebody's already like burst.
I don't think they were in 26, but they could have been.
Burst is gone?
That's what I was told. The person, now I do not use burst. Did you just launch it?
Yeah.
I would figure that, maybe they just typed it in wrong. BS.
So burst is an express tool. So if they don't have their express tools installed, that might have it.
I wonder about that. I didn't look too far into it because I was like, it's a command we normally don't even want people to use.
Wait, did you get rid of explode too? Because you use them both.
Can we cancel Brian right now? There's no such thing as explode.
Yeah. But as far as
No, see, I disagree with you, Tomasi, because for a person who's got to deal with Revit and Revit doesn't like Civil 3D,
Yeah,
civil engineer doesn't export to AutoCAD and they give it to me, I've got to go in and burst and explode a whole lot of crap
yeah, you're
to
right.
be able to understand what's going on.
But yeah, to change your right click menu, this is just in the CUI file. And I used to do this for the one place where I changed it back when I was, doing design myself, was in the shift right click for the snap overrides. The shortcut to run these is the underlined letter. So E for endpoint, M for midpoint, I for intersection, X for extension, A for parent intersection. The one I used a lot was also perpendicular, but P is way on the other side of the keyboard for my left-hand home row typing. So I'd actually come in here and change these. So perpendicular was W. Didn't matter. I was the only one using it. So, right. But if you go into your CUI file, so just type CUI, you have your shortcut menus. This will be in my enterprise one. Shortcut menus, and here's where you can get those shortcut menus. All right, so object snap cursor menu. Right, this is where I went in and changed those. Now, unfortunately, the way we have things set up here at GEI, my users can't change these because these are in the enterprise CUI. Right, but if I wanted my perpendicular to be W, you'll notice that it says ampersand P perpendicular, right? I would just put the ampersand in front of the letter that I want to be the hotkey. But yeah, you should just be able to come in here and edit these menus and move the properties to the bottom. What else we got, Brian?
We have from Kevin saying we plan to upgrade to Civil 3D 26 soon. My group has one Civil 3D template that I built from scratch in 24. What would be the best method of updating our template to 26?
I didn't update our template.
Yeah, I didn't update our template either. Yeah, ours has been since 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just keep using the same template. The only caveat is if they include new things, you have to create new styles and change the settings for those new things in your templates.
Yeah, like object layers or
right. Like a pond.
Yeah, the pond.
Right?
Yeah,
2025 doesn't have a pond.
Yep.
So you'll just need to make sure that if you're going to be using ponds, that you put the pond styles in your new template.
Yeah, pond styles and also what your object layer. So if you right click on the drawing one and go into your into there and go to the the object layer settings. Yeah. But they'll come in at 0 if it's not part of your template. Yeah, it's at 0. So then you just need to add that.
Yep. So really, that's what I do to update it. I just go through and I double check some of those things.
So you do save it as a 26 template, not 24.
If you got to put a number behind it, yeah. Other than that, I just save it as the same thing, and everybody pulls from the same one.
Yeah, and the way we do it is, if I pull up my I'll explore again. So again, under the CAD support, right? So common. So we have this common folder under our CAD support. So this is the same for every single version, no matter what version you're using. These are the common things. So these would be like your tool palettes and your blocks and your line types and all that fun stuff. If something specific, so for under Civil 3D 2026, these are the things that are specific to that version. And under here, we have the templates for 2026. That way, if I need to, because I don't know if having a 2026 template that has pond styles in it, then opened up in 2025 is going to cause any issues. So that's kind of the approach I've taken.
Beautiful. So Quinn asks, how do you typically manage CAD layers? You store all layers in the template, use tool palettes, handle, insert them another way? Thanks.
I'm gonna let you take this one first, Brian. I'm curious how you do it.
We use Design Center. Okay, Design Center is built in. I think it was back in the day an untapped item, and within Design Center, we've got our tool palettes set such that whenever we click our layers, and if you want, I can actually show my screen if you would like.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me get in here and try to share.
Stop sharing first, probably.
How do I share? Oh, there it is. Look at that share. And I just want to share screen. Is it 2? No. Oh, screen 3. Wow, that's considered screen 3. All right, fine. So be it.
He just wanted to rub in. He has 3 screens.
Yeah. Sorry, I get confused where all my screens are at. All right. So within hours, yeah, we incorporate here, and if we're talking about layering, each one of these guys does nothing more than just bring up the design center with the layers that are here. So this is how we do our layers. We also do the line types the exact same method, and so they're all incorporated here. Each one of them looks at a different file or a different DWS file that we use, and they have all of the layers within them, and we've got them separated by discipline, so that way if we need to make a modification, we can just go to that discipline and add, and then it goes down to the rest of the group. Do the same thing for line types or layers. Yeah, so sorry, that's our borders. So yeah, for like our line types and such, we've got all of our line types in one line type file, and then you can come and just pull from it. The layers already have the appropriate layers have the line types to them. These are just additional line types that we incorporate. Yes, we have 22,717 line types. This is not metric, by the way. This is all imperial, so we got to do the metric one. But yeah, yeah, for general, and then you just come through, right click and add, or add an entire group. I love Design Center, Yell.
Yeah, Tom says he loves Design Center as well. He even uses it to import XREFs or layouts with page setups applied already.
That's a great idea. I mean, again, untapped resource that is freaking fantastic. Yeah, we use it for our dim styles, our multi-leader styles, all of our fonts, line types, everything.
I'll show you the way we do it. So go ahead and stop sharing, Brian.
So I think the big question on this is going to be is when does that go away and gets replaced with content catalog? Sorry.
As soon as content catalog for AutoCAD comes out, we're already got that on our Revit stuff. So yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah.
Go Autodesk.
So the way we do it, we have the GEI tools, and we have this option to insert layers. So if I'm interested in doing the water resource layers, I just click on that and it inserts all of our layers for us. It's basically the same way Brian does it, only rather than bringing up a drawing in Design Center so you can pick and choose which layers you want, it just takes all of the layers from the drawing and puts them into this drawing.
Yeah, but I don't think you have 26,000 whatever.
Yeah, we've got a lot. Yeah, we've got a lot.
So this is the way we've broken them down. But as far as like the Civil 3D stuff, I mean, if I go into my layers right now, we have a ton of layers in here already. And this is just because of all the Civil 3D styles.
Yeah, you got 700. So Brian, you got 712 layers. If you create 5 drawings using your template, then you're going to multiply. You're going to have 3,500 layers that you've XREF'd into a single drawing into one of your sheet views. We did have a problem with that. So ours is down to 30. It's Baskin Robbins, 39 flavors. There's 39 layers in our template, and it does incorporate all of the styles. Don't ask me how we got it down there, Brian. We did a lot of finagling.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you may not know this, but you can go in there and assign a layer that's not in the drawing to one of your object layers.
How does it get the properties of the layer then?
It makes it on the fly. So it comes in at 0 with default to everything, which is kind of nice because we also have it add a prefix and or a suffix based on what it's creating. So like a lot of the times we'll go in here and like if we want an alignment, we will put it on an alignment layer, but that layer has a prefix to it. I mean a suffix to it to assign the layer name to it. So it adds a new layer there. We don't have a layer already predefined for proposed or existing. It takes on the name of the alignment or surface or pipe network that you're generating.
So the layers I was referring to are the layers that are inside of the styles.
Oh, I was referring to the layers that are actually in the drawing that help with.
So for example, if I come over here to my point styles and I edit this display, that was a bad example. Let's use this one. That was a bad one as well. So those are all set to object.
That'd be about as bad as starting a webinar 30 minutes early.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bad example. Surface. I hate that these. Why can't these be alphabetical?
You got me, man. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Right, so it's talking about these layers.
Yep. Yeah.
And you got still got include all of these styles and you still got it down to 40 some odd layers?
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yep. Absolutely. A lot of
All
it
right.
is because it's drawing contained. So you're in the drawing. So the drawing is actually an attribute to the layering. So when you open up, if you XREF it in, all the layers are going to have the prefix of the drawing that you're in to it.
Mhm.
So we can have G dash, Ano dash, line weight 10, 50 times. It's the same layer in every drawing, but it represents something different based in the drawing that it's in.
Right. All right.
And one last question, even since we're 1 minute past the bottom of the hour. STB versus CTB plot styles, positive and negative for each.
Uh,
Okay. So in my experience, people that use CTB files use CTB files because that's the way they've always done it.
yep.
People that use STB files used to use CTB files, tried out STB files, really liked them, and kept going with STB files.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair, Brian?
Yes. If you're going to continue going on I don't want to disrupt your process, but I've got some stuff behind this as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Uh, CTB is great because, and an engineer told me this, and it made the most sense, even though I disagreed with him almost everything else, is the drafter loses all language on screen. So with a CTB, when you look at the color, you know what it's going to plot like because you're so used to a particular CTB. Now, if you are in and out of other standards, that may not be the case. But an STB, you only need like 4 values in an STB to get every colorization, every line weight variation that you want in a CAD drawing. So STB wins in that fact because I can without changing a CT to a different CTB for color, I can do color in an STB and I can do black and white in an STB. And on top of that, it also goes back and forth with any Bentley product because Bentley doesn't use CTB to define, it uses line weights to define.
Right.
Who put solo table based? What is that?
All right. Well, that takes us over the hour and a half I had planned today.
So the only thing I was going to add, I'm going to put this into the chat. If somebody said, "Hey, what did you learn at AU? What's on the AU?" I am going to put into the chat the roadmap for Civil 3D. So if you guys wanted to know, hey, what potentially could be coming up, if you didn't know that existed, you can actually go see the Civil Infrastructure Roadmap, and it'll talk about what they're going to be doing, what's in progress. Those are the sessions I always attend to at AU. I don't know what they even call them, but I always where they talk about, hey, here's what we're currently doing in beta, and here's some of the future plans we have. Future plans are always like, maybe they'll do it, but what's in progress was something, hey, that's literally in the beta right now.
Yeah. And I got to meet a lot of y'all at AU, and I met somebody at Bluebeam even. So thank you for coming up and talking with me. I really appreciate it. It's always good to see folks there. And if you ever get the chance to go to AU, I highly recommend it. Definitely put it on your bucket list if you haven't been yet. So, and I guess with that, we'll go ahead and call it a day. Thank you everybody for showing up. Have a great time. I will be posting this up on my YouTube channel. So if you missed anything or want to go review something, it'll be up there. And we'll see you all again next month. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.